What's going on, guys? We are here. Apologies for the slight delay, but we are back. Of course, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock in East Smack Talk, bringing to you once again. And as always, Ding and myself holding it down. Another week, another topic for discussion. People seemingly getting opportunities, people losing opportunities. Keep getting asked, what's going on with KO Chris? Man, we're going to get into it. We're going to bring in one Sinn Bodhi. Maybe we'll ask him what's up with KO Chris, because his name's been brought up as well. And we'll find out. I mean, Sinn Bodhi is a guy that's come in, changed the recruiting style of Power Slap, some for the better, some for the worse. Some people love it, some people don't. Sinn Bodhi will sit in the hot seat. He'll take your questions. We'll, hold his feet to the fire, and we'll see where he's at. Obviously, we know we're kind of Power Slap number 21, very wrestling heavy, and we've got two wrestlers going for titles. We're going to find out for the first time ever if these wrestlers are able to overtake some of the OGs of the sport and be able to, you know, get their feet wet. Obviously, one stunt Marshall, the sensation that he is taking on Isaiah Quiones. As well, we have Zoe Dubois taking on Ellie Dempster in the first ever women's match. Ding, it's never a slow week in slap world. What's been sticking out to you?
Well, like you mentioned, man, KO Chris, obviously a fun one. Not seeming like he's doing too well these days, so maybe Sin will have some details on that. Like you said, his name's been brought up, so I'm interested. It's always great to talk to Sin, man. Not a lot of organizations have a public facing guy that kind of, shoots from the hip and tries to be as straight as he can be. Obviously he's in a unique position because he's the talent guy, and so he has to have great relationships with the athletes. He's kind of that forefront figure. So to be able to pick his brain every now and again is very fun. And as those of you who have watched before for a Sinn Bodhi episode, he's very passionate. He's got a lot to say about this sport, a lot to say about professional wrestling as it relates to this. And yeah, we got some questions for him, some tough ones. Namely, I think the KO Chris one is the toughest of those questions because, if there is in fact some smoke behind the mirrors, then he may or may not want to go there. I'm also interested, and I'll ask him this, of course, but why he chose to keep Sinn Bodhi as the name that he's going to go by in Power Slap in the position that he's in, rather than utilizing his true name, his real name, which I won't share because that's his business. But I'm just curious, why he decided to do that, why he thought that was important. So that's a little interesting thing. We talked to him a few times and never asked him. And then, of course, the wrestlers make it to the main co-mains in their respective championship matches. Power Slap 21, barely over a year. They came around May 2025. We're now going to be in July 2026. Main event, co-main event. Each features a wrestler. Lots of success coming. I'll see if we can get him to tease some names that we can expect to see on the next card without giving us any matches. Maybe he'll give us some names or who they're targeting. But always a great conversation, man.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe he'll even give us an update on what to expect from the camp coming up. I guess we haven't given anybody here live an update, but it was supposed to take place early June. It was seemingly bumped till the end of June now, so we'll see if we get any further update. If it's been locked in, and maybe he'll give us some names of some of those athletes that will be there. From what I know, I don't believe it's 100% filled out. So if you are a striker and somebody who wants to get in there, make sure you head over to powerslap.com, fill out that casting, and then you know what? Hit up Sinn Bodhi, on social. He's a guy that's always looking and scouting worldwide for the new talent to come, and you never know if Power Slap will be coming to a city near you. We all didn't have Serbia on the map, and seemingly we got Serbia out of nowhere, and obviously he's looking to get new talent from that part of the world, whether it be Eastern Europe, Middle East, etc., into Power Slap. So you never know. Wherever you're watching, there's always hope, always opportunity. Similarly, the growth with Power Slap, a lot of it's going to be coming from worldwide right now. Obviously, they have a big, push, domestically, but also internationally. And I think we're going to see more of that come in the later part of the year, and not where we've always seen it. Not just over in the Middle East. Obviously, the conflict there has kind of put a wrench in a lot of the plans, and so we'll see them take that show on the road in other markets. And in a lot of ways, I think the war kind of forced Power Slap and UFC to change course with their direction. Obviously, we know that TKO Group with WrestleMania, UFC has had a really strong partnership in Saudi Arabia as well as in the UAE. But obviously, that being on hold and has forced them to go in different directions, open up new markets they may not have before. We know Dana White has spoken about, Power Slap and UFC, and want to go to South Africa. So definitely hitting different continents. Brazil being the massive, population base that it is, and the marketing vehicle behind that, the long lineage of MMA, jiu-jitsu, etc. I think Power Slap obviously is a natural born thing there. We do know that slap fighting has been in Brazil for a number of years. They've had events at the Arnold Classic for a number of years, and there are regional organizations taking place there and guys training. So could definitely be a good opportunity, for a lot of these athletes to kind of get in and get at it. But you guys in the chat, is there anything specific before we get Sin on here that you guys want to talk about specifically? Let us know in the comments.
I think I can think of something that I've seen in the comments, and a few select strikers who shall remain nameless have asked this question to us privately. But there is some speculation slash conspiracy theories slash, naysayers that are, questioning, if you will, the legitimacy slash, the how behind the sold out Power Slap 21 in 1 week. What would you say to people like that? Like, what would your response be to somebody as an outsider of the organization? Obviously, we went to Frank to extract this information, right? We saw that it was sold out. So it's not like Frank came to us to put this out. So there was no motive on the promotion side. We inquired about something that we saw. He answered our questions. We reported it, as is generally the case in a lot of things. So what would you say to somebody who's questioning if the promotion bought their own tickets? I can't even fucking say it. If the promotion bought their own tickets and is reselling them at 600%.
Well, let's look at it this way. The venue isn't big. Like, I see there being a day that Power Slap outgrows the Chelsea, even possibly this year in a lot of respects, to be quite honest with you. We know every year, every event, there's people that want to get in the venue that can't get tickets. The resale option, obviously on Ticketmaster, allows for capitalists to take advantage just like any market, and are they all legitimate fans? Are they resellers? In-house, out of house, I highly doubt they would worry about making a couple extra $100 by buying their own tickets and redoing it. They've got bigger fish to fry than that, and in the grand scheme of things, it's just peanuts. Have other resellers got into it and rolling off the hype of the Conor McGregor train, International Fight Week? Sure, there's very well some possibility there. The prices that you see, this isn't unique to Power Slap. This happens at every single event. Like, you'll see a $16,000 pair of tickets, or $30,000 pair of tickets for Power Slap in row one. Does that ever come to fruition? Do people ever purchase that? No. Like, maybe the oddball, some person who's uneducated, has a lot of, FU money, decides they want to do it and it makes no sense. Possibly. If it does, I'll tell you, we'll report that as the largest, ticket transaction ever in history, on our channel if it is. But, it's one of those things that, if this is going to get identified where there's an opportunity for people to make money, this is a capitalist society. I mean, it definitely sucks for the fans' perspectives who want to be able to go see the event, but it's just going to make and force you to purchase tickets earlier, to actually commit to the event if it's something that you want to do into the future here, because where there's money, people will find a way to capitalize on it. And unfortunately, it's just the nature of the beast. Try and control the things that you can. When tickets go on sale, purchase tickets in advance, make that commitment, and buy your tickets so you're not left out in the cold door paying $650 American for to get into Power Slap, which seemingly is the lowest. But myself, as a fan of the sport, I'm actually curious to see where that arc goes. Do these prices continue all the way to the event? Do they continue to rise closer to the event? Do they drop as the event gets near? I mean, this is really uncharted territory for everybody, so we're going to find out here in the coming weeks.
Well, I like that answer, but I would like an answer from the man who has agreed to graciously join us and sit in the proverbial hot seat. He is, of course, the one of, we'll call it, the talent relations team at Power Slap. He is not nameless and he is not faceless. He is the great Sinn Bodhi. Sinn, thank you for the time, and appreciate the getting through the technical difficulties there.
I hate technology. I wish it was just gonna do, would just do what it was supposed to do. Like I don't know that I'm gonna road rage anytime soon, but I'm gonna technology rage. I have been known to, in my Florida days, I did frisbee a laptop or two into the ocean, and then I felt bad, and then I swam out and got it just so the little fishies wouldn't accidentally eat a keyboard button or something. So strictly for the fishes, and then I got it back on land, and then I just beat the crap out of it and threw it in the garbage. And done that maybe a couple of times, allegedly.
That is the Sinn Bodhi story if I've ever heard one. I'm curious.
Brother.
You may have missed it during your lead in here, but we were just discussing the notion that Power Slap has purchased their own tickets to intentionally sell it out and increase the ticket prices. Corey was giving his version of what his rebuttal to that would be. What would you say to somebody who was accusing the promotion of purchasing their own tickets to make a couple extra bucks at an increased price / make the event look more popular than it is? I mean, these are things I've read, so I'm paraphrasing.
Well, where'd you read that? Where'd you read that? In the Jerry Springer show or some tabloid magazine? Yeah, I'm fairly certain that's not the case. Like again, like as Dana would point out, there's a billion views a month. This thing is growing in popularity. So and every time people ask me for tickets, it's like stuffing more people in there with a shoehorn. Like it's wall to wall, and then sometimes people buy up whatever tickets, and then they show up a little bit late or whatever. So by the time everything's in the thick of it, the show's always packed. So just look around and see. But I mean, people ask me for tickets all the time, and half the time I can't do it because the place is sold out. So like that's just a silly idea. So there you go. So, and then too, like under TKO, all these, whether it's UFC or WWE or BBJ, Zuko boxing, Nitro Circus, skateboarding, bull riding, let alone Power Slap. All these things contribute to billions and billions of dollars in revenue. I'm pretty sure they're not scalping their own ticket. Fairly certain.
Yeah. I mean, when you compare the two, right? McGregor sold out in 4 minutes. Those tickets at resale are ridiculous. I think the floor, meaning the lowest price, not actually the floor, is around $2,600 right now. So when you compare that, I think it makes a ton of sense that Power Slap sells out in a week. Obviously, the crowd size is the capacity in the Chelsea is much smaller. I think it's perfectly reasonable. The biggest.
I'll give you an example. I've got a really close buddy of mine coming into town to watch the next show. He's my best pal is he's a business owner up in South Dakota, and he's not rich, but he ain't struggling either. And our mutual friend Brandon Wilson, who competed in the last show, who did a heck of a job. He wants to come and watch Brandon, be supportive, like they're in the same town and all that stuff. And him and his family bought tickets for UFC, but even he was kind of like, well, it's a little bit pricey, but the Power Slap tickets are easy peasy, So I think a lot of people that probably don't have the financial, wiggle room that he might have, and I find the Power Slap tickets are more to their taste, Just I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds, TKO and say like, well, some ideas of overpricing or underpricing, lead to like quicker sellouts. Like, just JBL the other day was on Something to Wrestle With was talking about, hey, if an event sells out too quickly, maybe rethink the pricing, like maybe up the ante on that, which is going kind of in the pro direction of, what TKO is doing, especially with the WWE tickets, getting stuff high. So, they have their pricing formats and formulas, what they do. And if stuff sells out quickly or not enough or whatever, they'll price adjust, I'm sure. And then just the modern landscape, just everything is just a little bit more expensive these days. And there you have it. But I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, we can discuss, purchasing patterns and different ticket sales strategies, but I'm pretty sure they're not scalping their own ticket. Pretty sure they're not buying them and reselling them. Like, yeah, I don't see Frank or Dana or Triple H or any of the executives at TKO on the street corner in their trench coats holding it out with like a bunch of tickets in their pocket, like, yo, come get a ticket, check it out, half price, whatever, or double the price, best seats. It's just silly to me. So
It's because they're all in your back pocket, Sin. That's why. Because you got
what's
it.
that?
You
What was
got them.
that?
That's why. They're in your back pocket. You have them.
Yeah. Right. And just so I don't know whoever comes up with some of these ideas, but I mean, it's interesting. I'll give you that. So
yeah. Well, Ding came up with a great idea last week, and he kind of put Hollywood Haley J on the spot. Did you happen to see that on our channel, and what's your thoughts of her decision?
To get or not get big boobs?
To not get. Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
We're picking the brilliant topics tonight, aren't we? We're starting off with the great topics.
Oh, don't worry. A good topic's coming up later, but we're giving you the softballs for now.
I'm sure when you asked me to come on, I figured out, here we go. Okay. All right. They got some bullshit up their sleeve or something. So I'm waiting for the, I'll even jump the gun and jump the shark. And I'm waiting for the anti-doping violations question to come up. So I'm sure you're pacing yourself when you're gonna kick it into TMZ mode and ask me about that.
No, I don't think that's the catalyst of tonight. To be honest with you, I think the catalyst of tonight is not far from South Dakota, but we'll wait. We will wait on that. We'll talk about the catalyst later. But since you brought it up, Sin, I gotta be respectful. I gotta let you do your thing. So the anti-doping violations, not the funnest subject, but of course it is highly relevant. It's a few guys we will not see till the end of the year.
Right, and I heard you guys talking to Jordan, and I mean Jordan is right. When you put up a vague post about anti-doping violations, that could mean a million things, and for a million different reasons. There could be a mistake. There could be, again, like in some of those like meetings that they have, like on the combines or whatever. You've sat in on some of those where they'll say like, hey, you could be grappling and just kind of swapping sweat with somebody, and they're taking something you're not taking, and their testing is so strict. So you probably just don't know you have something in your system. You could have shared a protein drink. You could have just swapped sweat rolling around on the mats, or just taken something by accident you didn't even realize you were taking or whatever. And that doesn't have to do with so many different categories of things between, performance enhancing things, recreational things, protein powder. There's certain protein powder. There's stuff in certain protein powders you can't take. Like there's different, little labels that you can look out for to know like what's on their do list and don't list and all that stuff. So just a vague post about anti-doping violations, I think just to me you're asking, so gloves are off. When I saw that post, I really had to sort of take a deep breath and just calm myself down before I reached through the internet and double noggin knockered you two fuckers together for putting such a TMZ bullshitty post up. But you asked, so I'm telling you the truth.
So what would you like to see then? Like, do you think it's
I would
better
just
to
like
report
what's that, sorry?
Is it better to report the exact substance? Because we actually reached, I'll be honest, in full transparency, we reached out to every single athlete. We invited them on the show. We gave them an opportunity to speak. Some of them asked us specifically to not say what they tested for. Sure. I think we did the ethical thing, to be completely honest with you.
No, you guys handled it. I listened to it. And again, I didn't message you guys. I didn't call you guys because I wanted to just have a clear mind. Again, how I like to treat my laptops. I didn't want to throw you in the ocean and pull you out of the ocean and beat the shit out of you and throw you back in the ocean, throw you in a dumpster. So I thought I'll just calm down and just see how this, goes and so forth. And you guys were very respectful. You guys did your, you did your due diligence and you asked these guys respectfully, and that was cool. I think it's a privacy thing, and two, the wellness programs at WWE, the anti-doping programs at UFC, or the lack thereof anywhere else, is protocols are the protocols. So whether you screwed up on purpose or by accident, you've made a mistake, and you're a big boy or big girl, and you have to make your bed and sleep in it. So Jordan didn't take anything so brutal. He just started to take something to recoup on his downtime, not thinking he was going to compete for long enough, and then he forgot about it, or whatever the case was, and then it was like a grain of salt in a swimming pool is what they found. So it wasn't like if he had waited a couple more weeks and just said, "Hey, let me just clear this from my system. Let me do the next show." It would have been a non-issue. Like there was next to nothing. And the other couple of guys, they had different situations, and I don't want to breach their privacy and speak on their specific situations, but just because Jordan was man enough, like just, open enough and professional enough to come out and talk about it. That's why I bring him up. But I think the world of Jordan and all the competitors that are brave enough to compete in any sport, let alone power slap, wrestling, MMA, boxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever, hockey, football, and I saw, and again, I'm not in the zone to pick any fights, but at the same time, don't mistake kindness for weakness. So when I saw all the people writing their little comments on your post or whatever, it's like, here we go. It just incites the worst of everybody's personalities who, for the most part are pretty nice guys and girls, and then they see something like that. To them, it's blood in the water, and they jump on it, trying to kind of, get their licks in, so to speak, or whatever. And I just think it's in bad form. Again, all I can say is, as an office guy, not a competitor, the rules are the rules. So follow the rules. If you screw up the rules by accident or on purpose, you still broke the rules. If you murder somebody and then the cop comes and arrests you and say, "Oh, I didn't know murder wasn't against the law," ignorance isn't a form of defense in the courts. Murder somebody, you're going to jail for murder. That's it. So, I'm obviously blowing things out of proportion, just giving you a silly example, but suspension's suspension for whatever, and so they did what they did. In my personal opinion, out of the company, I think if people want to take stuff to turn themselves into guys or girls or dragons or unicorns or whatever the fuck they want to do these days, I don't see why you can't go the other way and enjoy yourself. I'm a straight edge guy. I would have a beer every other blue moon. Like if you wanted to sit down, it could be a cup of coffee or a Coca-Cola for all I care. I could have a beer or a glass of red wine. Aside from that, I'm more or less a straight edge guy. But at the same time, I don't judge you. If you want to be all jacked, or if you want to entertain yourself, like if you want to do something recreationally, or people want to make themselves better or feel better all the time. How they do it, it's not for me to judge. But again, these are the rules at this company. You cross the rules on purpose or by accident, and you pay the price. So there you go. Everybody wants to, I saw everybody in the comment just jumping on it, whatever. I don't know how great of an idea that is. Be supportive of your fellow competitors. Be supportive of the sport or the show or whatever that you're on. So you start throwing each other under the bus and just going to make your own problems.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Sinn. From our perspective, it's our obligation to present the facts.
Sure, I get it.
We don't try to slander. We don't try to slander. We don't put. And I'll be honest. I've been on this platform and I've said it. I'm pro all of this stuff from my background. Ding hates it when I say that, but the rules are the rules, and it is what it is. And we don't make judgment. We don't. We discuss. But as you alluded to, like I've sat in the rules meetings as well, and what you brought up, they find a grain of salt in a swimming pool. And I think every athlete knows what that rule is. And
well, again, sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose. Yeah. But either way, you got that grain of salt in your swimming pool. But
for sure.
You pay the price.
Jordan came on here. He faced it like a true champion. Was honest about it. He spoke his piece. He said what he did. He didn't hide. He didn't cower. He didn't do any of that. So, sure. I give the guy a ton of props.
And again, people can have their opinions. Like I'm
Yeah,
super First Amendment guy. You can run your yap in the comments all you want, but at the same time, like, is anybody are any of those same people going to go in the comments and go, hey, good on Jordan for manning up and owning his shit? Did anybody, like, everybody's quick to throw an insult, nobody's quick to throw a compliment. So that
100%.
just this speaks to planet Earth, let alone power slap or anything else. So just, and again, I think most of those people, for the most part, are nice enough people, but I think they just saw an opportunity to be shitty, and they did. So, and same thing again. That's not to negate the responsibility of the performers that violated the protocols. Again, on purpose or by accident, they did what they did, and they are paying the price. So there you have it. Time served.
I appreciate that sentiment, honestly, and I appreciate you, being honest about how you felt about it. I didn't realize that, to be truthful. I think
That's why you didn't hear from me. That's
well,
why you didn't see me.
I will tell you with 100% honesty. You probably think I'm yanking your chain here, but I actually was not going to bring that up tonight. I didn't think it was relevant, to be frank.
I figured that's why you were asking me to come
No,
on, but
no.
and again, I'm not afraid of any, like, I do podcasts all the time, whether it's for wrestling or for whatever, and people are like, oh, excuse me, sir, is there anything that you don't want to talk about? Ask me whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, that's not you.
I am an open book.
We greatly appreciate that. I'm sure the people watching greatly appreciate that. What I would ask, my question would be, and this is just in the spirit of, trying to improve and accomplish our goal. Our goal was to be as neutral as possible, and
Sure.
this is always
and
a
I
touchy
listened to you
subject.
and Jordan. I thought you were. I thought you were very, very professional. So thank you for that.
Thank you, and I'm curious, like, so we intentionally, and to be honest with you, we probably spitball this more than we should amongst each other, but we intentionally don't list what kind of a substance it is, whether it be it. We have in the past when it came to Darren and the Chief, we highlighted if it was recreational versus performance enhancing. I don't know that helped anything, because then people, they start calling you this or that, depending on what we said. They make assumptions about what the drug was. So then we decided that it might be best to just let people use their imagination, because reality is it's a negative thing to report, because
Sure.
and to be real with you, you've probably read the comments more than either of us have, like, because we just know.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you just said. Say it again.
To be honest with you, you probably read the comments to something like that more than Corey or I do, because we know what it's going to be. And so it's one of those, we click it and we're like, I don't want to hear about it. It's there. It's in the ether. In the case of Jordan, obviously we have relationships with these guys. And so we gave them heads up. Hey, listen, this is public now. And that means anyone can grab it. We're going to put it out because it's highly relevant to what we do. But there's a caveat. We don't tag them, so it doesn't show up on their page if they've got, some of them, especially in the pro wrestling world, for some of them, this may be detrimental to their careers there. That's not our goal. So we don't tag them. We don't ask them to share it. We don't, none of that. And in Jordan's case, obviously he wanted to get out in front of it because he had his own story to tell. And like you said, it could be a mistake. It could be you had a little too much fun. You like to party, whatever it is. It could have been, in some states, marijuana would be something that would get you. And some guys may want to say that, but that's up to them. Obviously they all incur fines. We don't talk about the fines because that's their business. But it is public, and I think that's the part of it that's tough. Is anybody on the internet can go check it out. You weren't in the mix yet, but there was, I think it was July 2023. All the MMA outlets picked it up. I think there was 5 or 6 positive tests on a given card or two, and it's still there to this day. You can go look it up. And the headline is, 6 power slap competitors pop positive for drugs, and that's not what we're here to do. But if we don't put it out, then it'll come as a surprise to people when those headlines do hit. For the people who don't care to put, to make it as nice as possible, to put a bow on it, and to try to be neutral. So that was our stance.
And again, First Amendment, you take all of it. You can't cherry pick. You can't cherry pick what's, like, I think the dumbest terms ever are mis and disinformation. It's all information, whether it's right or wrong, lies or truth. It's all just words, hyperbole, facts, all opinions, all smashed together. You take the good with the bad. So there
I
you go.
like it.
So
I like it.
you're not reporting always sunshine. So sometimes you gotta talk about the unpleasantries. There you go. So no problem.
I appreciate that, and unfortunately, we can't always talk about Hollywood Haley J's aspirations to either augment or not.
Fair enough.
But let's, on a positive note, a question that I don't think anybody's ever asked you, and I'm curious. Really, it's meaningless, but I'm just curious. When you entered this space, you made a conscious decision, whether you realized it or not, to continue to go by Sinn Bodhi, although that's not. Hopefully, I'm not breaking any news here. That's not your real name.
No.
Was that a conscious decision, and if so, was it because of the professional wrestling mixture, or what was the thought process behind not utilizing your true name?
It's just more of a brand that I go by. Like, I mean, I know wrestlers that I'm quite close to. I couldn't tell you their real first name. I've known guys for 20 years. Like, what do you mean? Colt Cabana, what do you mean your name's Scott? What the fuck? Seamus, what do you mean your name's Steve? That's a bunch of horse shit. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it says Seamus on that big neon white motherfucker's birth certificate, you know? So, like, if you were to come into the wrestling gym that I teach at weekly in Las Vegas and you asked for Nick, they'd be like, anybody in that whole gym would be like, who the fuck are you talking about? You know? So it just, if I'm going to be this sort of representative, if I'm going to sort of be this Jerry Maguire, Mary Poppins, you know, opportunity giver, talent scouts, you know, talent relations guy, and I asked from get-go to pull a lot of wrestlers. Doesn't have to be all wrestlers, but that's my wheelhouse, and that's what they wanted, and that's why they talked to me in the first place. Like Dana, Frank, Hunter, they got it into their heads that, hey, we want to grow this, and we want new, fresh talent, and we think pro wrestlers, especially on the independent level, they're hungry. You know, they're doing this for probably peanuts. They're jumping off of tables, ladders, chairs. Oh my, you know, they're fun. They're crazy. They're on the microphone. They're flamboyant. You know, they're entertaining to the audience. So let's get some of those. Give them an opportunity. And then they're like, well, you know, who can scout that? Who can scout pro wrestlers? Who's got a sports entertainment background, but also a shoot background? Who's old enough and savvy enough to communicate with talent and produce talent, like player coach talent, produce shows, coach shows. You know, and I've produced at the biggest shows in the world. I've performed at the biggest shows in the world. And before my time in spandex, I cashed my black belt in for spandex 100 years ago. So I'm qualified on a shit ton of different levels to bring in these guys and girls. And so my branding is like, so if I called Haley J, said, hey, this is Nick. She'd be like, who the fuck's Nick? You know, if I called Jake Hager, hey, this is Nick. He'd be like, who the fuck's Nick? You know, so it was just easier for me to go to say like, hey, Dana, Frank, Hunter, Erica, you want to call me Nick behind closed doors, be my guest, but it'll just be easier on you just to, you know, so that way you have to think about me in two different people, like with the marketing me and, the product me and the human me. So if you want to just call me Sinn to keep it simple, and they're like, okay. And that was it. So that was why, just like if I'm going to pull these guys on sort of street cred and name factor, that's the name that they know. And then too, you know, a little bit of privacy for the most part. But I mean, any person can go and look at my Wikipedia and see my real name. It's not any big secret. And if my last name didn't look like you were trying to spell out a seizure, like it looked like spilt alphabet soup, maybe I would have used that in the first place, let alone Sinn Bodhi. But my real name is no secret. It is Nicholas Svetkovich. Try spelling that shit, you know, if you have no idea what it is. Try learning that as a kid. You know, I grew up with Edge and Christian, and to this day, as adults in a restaurant, if the waiter comes over and goes, how do you pronounce that, or how do you spell that? Edge and Christian will sing it just the way that I learned. Like my mom taught me the Mickey Mouse Club, CVJETKOVICH. And these two fucking asshole wrestlers, grown-ass men at a table in a, you know, whatever restaurant, like, waiter, how do you spell that? How do you pronounce that? CVJETKO, and they're like, that's what they'll do. So you try putting that on a fucking poster, at least a wrestling poster. In MMA, there's all sorts of awesome, crazy, interesting, you know, different, you know, ethnic names. But in pro wrestling, didn't make such a great wrestling handle. So look for something that was a little more my wheelhouse, and it would suit my sort of persona and all that kind of bullshit. And so there you go. Sin, well, whether you're white, black, gay, straight, red, blue, agnostic, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever, sin is the one thing that binds all humanity. We're all good at being sinners. So that's why I picked Sin, and I picked Bodhi which is actually a Buddhist term. I mean, it's short for Bodhisattva, which means without hate, greed, or delusion. And it was named for the character in Point Break. It was named for Patrick Swayze's character, who they short formed him as Bodhi, but they called him in the movie the Bodhisattva because he was a bank robbing surfer that didn't want to play by the rules. He was like a Robin Hood, and he wanted to sort of live life devil may care. And so they nicknamed, you never knew what the character's name was. You just knew him by the nickname Bodhi. And so when I was a kid, I'm like, yeah, I want to be a Robin Hood, devil may care, nomadic cowboy. I want to be that. So hence Sinn Bodhi. So there's the fictional handle. So it really now at this stage of the game, it transcends wrestling. It goes to my circus strongman days. It goes to pro wrestling. It goes to my artwork. It goes to, me doing, stunts and bit roles in horror movies and action movies and so forth. So it's my brand at this stage of the game. So it was just easier to keep with it.
I like it. I like it.
Does that sort of give you the lowdown on Sinn Bodhi?
That absolutely does, and you revealed your real name, which I don't think anyone will be able to repeat. So, nevertheless, I appreciate it.
It sounds like a seizure. It sounds like you're spelling out a seizure. Like, yeah.
Someone asked in the comments if Smiley is Dante's last name. It is.
Yes.
In fact, his last name.
Yes.
However, there are some guys who I won't mention that their real name is not used at all, not even a part of it. So, very.
Some guys have like a person last name where you're like, wait, that's not the real name. Like they didn't pick like Brick Strong Body or something like. They just picked like some normal name. I'm like, why don't you just use your regular name if you're going to use a normal name? But again, creative choices, good, bad, or indifferent.
Some people think that Jordan's last name is actually Oasis, which is interesting.
Right.
I'm curious. I guess since we brought up Dante, where does a guy like that go from here? Obviously, tough night for him. May 15th, second time that he's on the wrong side of scarier knockouts than the average. I think that's where the concern comes from. Is it always just looks really bad?
Right.
What have you talked to him? Do you know where his spirit's at? Do you know kind of what his intentions are moving forward?
I checked on him right after just to make sure he was okay, and he's got a lot of heart, strong guy. He's a bounce back kind of guy. So he's going to pro wrestle, and I don't know that he'll be back at Power Slap. Never say never, but I think he's going to stick to pro wrestling and personal training, but he tried his hand at it. Like he had balls to step up to the plate twice. Not too shabby. And just so you know, I don't know. We're live, right? Absolutely. Are we live? Okay. So my phone is very quickly losing percent, and I don't have a charger in front of me because I was handling all sorts of stuff before I got on the phone here, and I can't find a charger. So I'll just, if that's okay, I'll stay with you until my power source craps out. Is my wife in the living room? Hey wife, are you around here? I can't find it. Bring me a charger.
Okay. But someone you mentioned earlier, Brandon Wilson, a guy that comes in, takes on Bryce Jones, round one, victory. Give us some insight on this guy, because I know this is someone you were very high on going into the event, and he performed admirably. Yeah.
So Brandon Wilson, he's living in South Dakota. He's here on asylum from South Africa. I mean, they're treating people pretty crappy down there. It's pretty dangerous, So I mean, he showed me pictures of him sleeping with an AK-47 on his chest, So like, we have it so good here, and we can cry and squawk about our first world problems. We can cry into our $1,000 iPhones, and we can shed our tears onto our $500 to $5,000 Jordans, but not Oasis's sneakers, but where else on the planet do you have it so good, So, I mean, this dude was taking naps with an AK-47 on his chest so people wouldn't kill him for being, a white guy. guess that's what's going on over down there, you know. And so he's on a legal asylum. And before that, when he was there, he was 6-0 amateur boxing and kickboxing, and he was Drake Duplessis' sparring partner for a little while in South Africa, where I guess, you know, Duplessis is awesome, and he's putting a pounding on all the sparring partners that he had. So they're like, can we get somebody that could just at least endure a little bit of what Duplessis is going to unleash? And Brandon took it all with a smile. So Duplessis was impressed, and, you know, which I was impressed that he was impressed, you know. And then fast forward to him getting to South Dakota. Again, my buddy that's coming to watch him, his name is Jason Bates. He's a bar owner and a family man up in Mitchell, South Dakota. Big Dummies is the name of his awesome bar restaurant. He's a great guy. He ran for office up there, family man, but he's tough as nails. He is possibly the toughest dude I know. And I've been in the ring with monsters. I've been in the ring with Road Warriors. I'd still pick Jason Bates to have my back. In an alley full of ninjas, you know, I picked that guy. And he called me and said, hey, you got to see this kid, Brandon. And again, and my buddy Bates was a pro wrestler. He was one of those woulda, shoulda, coulda guys at WWE, you know, for whatever happenstance. You know, he didn't get a job back in the day, but he could kick ass, legit or sports entertainment wise. And he was a big arm wrestler, power lifter, bodybuilder, all this stuff. And I go, why do I need to see this kid? And he goes, he just toyed with me in arm wrestling. And so to know who this guy is where all the weight is held on that reference. So this is a dude that, like, I've seen him beat 6'10" jack dudes, you know, and for Brandon to toy with Bates was like, holy shit, maybe I do need to see this guy. So flew up there, scouted him. Sure enough, I'm sitting at Big Dummies in Mitchell, South Dakota, and Brandon goes, or Bates goes, here, watch this. And we find the biggest guy in the bar. And in South Dakota, they're all mastodons. They're all fresh air breathing, well water drinking, farm boys, factory boys, tough as nails. The toughest kind of human you can find on the regular South Dakota. So we pick the biggest dude in the bar, sit him down, and they're going to arm wrestle. Brandon puts his arm up, and I'm sitting beside Brandon. And he looks at me, he goes, tell me when. And I go, okay, go. And Brandon just sits there holding this big guy, looking at me like he's not flexing, he's not blinking. He goes, tell me when you want this to end. I go, now it's fine. And he goes, bloop, and just puts this, I want to say the dude was 6'6", 350 pounds, just corn-fed. They just put that dude down like it was nothing. So, like I think he would do great. And he was just one of those dudes that he was just like, I'm more worried about getting mad and punching the guy after he slaps me. I'm like, well, you can't do that. So just hold on to it until you get to return fire. You know, when the coach says measure on whatever and off you go. There he goes, okay. He goes, yeah, I've been punched plenty of times, never been slapped. And then fast forward to getting him in Vegas. We got him in the training room with the butcher, with Brandon Bordeaux. And Brandon held up the pad. And he goes, you ever hit this pad before? He goes, no. And he goes, all right, let's see what you got. And so he measured on one. He just put his hand up, went, knocked it. And I mean, he damn near took Brandon's arm off. The pad went flying across the room and smashed against the window. You know, so Brandon just looked at me and goes, I think you'll be okay. And weirdly, I don't know if it was nerves from being in front of that many people. And he's competed again in boxing and kickboxing in front of people. I don't know that it was as many as it was at the Chelsea, but I was teasing him, and we were all teasing him. That was the wimpiest shot we saw him throw all week. So I think he was just a little bit, his nerves were just getting his feet wet, you know. And but yeah, I saw him throwing haymakers all week. And the one that he threw out that night on Bryce was a fraction of what he was throwing that whole week. So I think when he comes back, I probably got a pretty good chance of doing all right.
Interesting. You kind of said it twice. So are we going to see Brandon back soon? I'm not sure. Did you say your friend is coming down or already did?
So I was talking about my friend Jason Bates, who's the owner of Big Dummies in Mitchell, South Dakota. He is going to come and watch, just watch the show in general. and
Gotcha.
Brandon will be competing very soon.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted clarification on that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I
I mean,
was talking about my buddy coming down to watch. I wasn't talking about
gotcha.
Brandon, but Brandon will be competing soon.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I mean, that was definitely, a highlight, I think, for probably you and one of your, new recruits, obviously in the power slap. I know you're a guy that lives with your heart on your sleeve. You get behind these guys, and I know you're very passionate. I see, I even get to see you, obviously, stage side, and you feel for a lot of these guys, and you have past experiences, from years on the road in wrestling. You've known some of these people for, 10, 15, 20, probably some of them even 30 years. How do you stay within your wheelhouse, and like how do you stay, I guess, present when I know you're yeah, I know you're an emotional guy on the inside, and you got to live with the ups and the downs. Obviously, Brandon, for example, is one of the successes, but then you're going to have on the opposite side, like a Dante Smiley, who's one of your guys too, kind of on the opposite spectrum. How do you stay in that middle and not let the ups and downs get to you?
I treat them all fair. I don't give anybody any tips or advice or treatment that I wouldn't give the other guy. Whether they're my get or not my get. But especially if it's like one of mine versus one of mine. If I was to give one of them any bit of advice, I would tell that guy, hey, I'm going to go tell the exact same thing to the other guy too. So however it goes, the cookie is going to crumble as fair as I can possibly have it. And it's weird because I truly love Power Slap. I think it's fucking awesome. Like, I was hooked from get-go. But the double-edged sword for me is every time I see, not even just one of mine, every time I see these guys and girls go up, but especially, I think, just because of the emotional connection or what have you, because they've trusted me to take them onto this adventure. So that's where, like, friend or not friend, some of these guys and girls that I bring on, I know better than others, but they are all trusting me to come on there. So I just kind of feel like that whole dad mode of like, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. So they win, I spiritually win. They get clobbered, I spiritually get clobbered, and it sucks. I think my phone is going to die pretty soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go walk into my bedroom full of yelling dogs, and I'm going to grab my charger and see if I can't charge it before this thing craps out. How's that? Or I can come back on in a minute, whatever you prefer. Because I see the screen going dark. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, no, we hear you. We hear you. You're good. We're going on a ride together. No problem with that.
Karen, you got a charger I can use? This phone is going to die, and I'm on a live podcast.
Corey,
Are you in there? Where are you?
It's
Oh, my little
MTV
dog's
Cribs
gonna
with Sinn
leave.
Bodhi.
Yeah.
You didn't know.
What's that?
And
What's
MTV
that?
Cribs with Sinn Bodhi.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All these dogs are going to lose their minds. Yes, I know. We're going to go play outside as soon as I'm done this podcast. Yes, I know, Rambo. My little blind. There he is. Hey, Rambo, what's up, man? My little poodle is blind and wants to tell all these other guys what's up. He's like the fun food.
you have no plans to.
So I got my charger. I'm going to plug it in because I'm a professional. I have a charger. I love technology.
So you have no plans to turn the white dog pink, right?
What's that?
You don't have any plans to turn the white dog pink, right?
I don't know how I feel about that.
Are we leaving that to Haley J? I thought, I gotta be honest, I thought it was animal cruelty. I didn't see it until after she was on here. But I would have given her some shit. I would have given her some shit about it for sure.
Fucking kidding me?
Uh-oh.
You go into a mini series on like Sinn Bodhi and technology, man. Sounds a good sport, man. Either way, obviously, technology changes every day, and the fun. But talking about it, I mean, I think it's super interesting. Hopefully, we'll get Sinn back here. I think we still see him there. Hopefully, we can get it all sorted and back. A lot of people think that recruiting in Power Slap is an easy job, and I think it's far from that. I mean, we see people come in here that simply aren't cut, and then we see guys come in here who are, climbing the ranks. I think more often than not, you're going to miss than you're going to hit, and I think that's really part of weeding out who has it and who doesn't. And we know they do a great job, obviously, with the training camps to try to get people in, try to evaluate and assess what they have. From what we've seen, they've ran probably has been at least three, maybe even four training camps. I think at this particular moment. And so they even have a backlog of people that they still want to see. They haven't been able to book matches for, whether it be for, commitment reasons, whether it's scheduling, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's, a plethora of things of just finding opponents for people too. And so kind of having all that come together is something that I think is, underappreciated in the sport, and obviously the athletes that are on the current roster. Some of them, even just say like a guy like a Chris Debo, that's we haven't seen from a while, who's still under contract, and how to balance out that, newcomer into town versus the roster you have, etc. But I think it's fairly safe to say that the cream of the crop rises to the top, and they want the best athletes in the world here, whether they're on the roster or they're not. And I think there's a fine balance. And from all due accords, the Brass of Power Slap have been very good to athletes, I would say, for the most part, and giving them an opportunity, giving them a second opportunity, some of them even a third opportunity to prove that they're deserving to be within the ranks, to deserve another fight, and to continue to fight on. And I think the only way that you can really secure that is by winning. And I think now more than ever, I think the stakes are ratcheted even up even higher, to be completely honest with you. And I think it really cements around, you can't just win anymore. And I think this kind of started, and the first time it really came to my eyes was, kind of Dwayne Crespo. Like, you can't just win a points battle and expect to, be here for a long time. Like, you need to go out there in an emphatic fashion. You need to accumulate knockouts. You got to bring your unique style, and you got to have, that pizzazz for virality to really make it here in Power Slap now. It's very much a changing of the guard than ever before.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what between the Serbia, obviously, that side of the world, a lot of talent will be born from that. There's not just going to be people that we've seen overseas. I anticipate that they'll have quite a bit of talent that we haven't seen. There's a couple that we know of that we're looking forward to talking about here in the future. But also, you couple that with a combine coming up theoretically this month at some point. If not, I'm sure they'll push it to maybe August. But it's a lot of talent, and
Yeah, but I'm excited for him to see, like, are these guys legit? I mean, like your Jujar, your Emantayov, your just trying to think who else here. But I mean, a lot of these guys that we've only seen once.
well,
like
Darren Godfrey can be back. His
Godfrey,
suspension's up 12 days before the event.
Luis Robinson, like, where does he actually stack? Like, I think we're gonna see a lot of stuff shake out here about where these overseas guys fit. I think you're gonna see, obviously Peter's gonna be back again. He's presumably probably gonna get an American again. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's safe to say he'll get somebody, that's gonna climb that ascension. So we're gonna get more certainty there, and we're really gonna know where the international guys, kind of shake out. In a lot of ways, there's not as many opportunities for these guys, and so we don't really know how they fit in the rankings in terms of it. Where we've just seen more regularity, like Ike, like I don't know, I'll take a Pono Pau or Aaron Turner, where we've seen them, 4 or 5 times in Power Slap. We've seen them win, we've seen them lose, and we kind of know where they are in the ranks. A lot of these guys overseas we've seen once or twice, and it's like, or even like Nicole DeSigny, like, where is she in this whole thing? Like, is she the next woman up kind of thing? Where's she at? Like, the more certainty we get with the established talent here in America versus overseas competitors will give us more clarity as to where they're at from a skill set wise and overall package.
Yeah, and I think they're really, they need to, and from what I'm hearing, they will focus on cultivating female talent internationally as part of this endeavor. Obviously, they were planning, we know, to go to the Middle East earlier this year. That didn't work out, of course. So now we get to July. Serbia is the place. We don't know what the rest of 26 will look like for the Middle East or overseas events for that matter. And so I think they're gonna go hard here. I could definitely foresee a world where there's 18 matches, 8 happening on a live card and 10 pre-recordings, because this is the only chance with the visa issues for them to get a lot of this talent through, to move the rankings forward, to move the sport forward, and to get some people more experience.
Yeah, I mean, even those Canadians, buddy.
Oh,
But
brother.
but no, I mean, I definitely agree with you on that aspect. And for you guys who haven't done it, we've launched another weekly show. It's gonna be called the Clubhouse, taking place at 11 a.m. every Tuesday. Over on Instagram Live. We did our first one yesterday. I thought it went incredibly well. We're going to continue to evolve that every week. There's going to be a theme to the show. This week it was looking for a fight. We're still working on next week's topic, where we're going to talk about a lot of the topics surrounding Power Slap. Be able to get to some of the athletes that we may not be able to always on this show, specifically Smack Talk Live. So if you're a striker, you're someone looking to get into the league, you want to be able to interact with us, whether you're a fan, you're a striker, please check that out. 11 a.m. over on IG, going live to bring you a second show, more content. You guys, are seemingly wanting it, and we want to be able to do it a little bit more informal than this show. To be completely honest with you, we try to interact much more with the comments section. I know we don't always get to it on this show, especially when we have guests on. Sometimes we lack that interactivity with the comments section. I know Ding's always watching and trying to do his best as he can to be able to do it, but we do have that second, option and offering for you guys. And Ding, I know we haven't really broken it down, and you brought it to my attention that we didn't do it last week, so I have to bring it up this week. Abby Montez, Sheena Bathori, coming in Power Slap 22, headlining the event. You gonna ice me in a second here because we got the guy back. All right. Take it away, Mr. Ding.
I sure am. I sure am. And it's funny that you call me Mr. Ding because the last guy to call me Mr. Ding is actually the guy I want to talk to Sin about. Is he back? He is. Bright eyed and bushy tailed, as they say. Thank you for that. We appreciate you returning despite. Oh. Are we having audio problems?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thanks for that, Sin. We appreciate it. The just a couple more, and we'll get you back to your evening. Again, always appreciate the time and for the candor. The Before we get to the wrestlers and kind of obviously they're a massive part of July 20 or July 10th Power Slap 21. I wanted to ask you because this is something that was litigated publicly, and I appreciate if you tell us to go fuck ourselves. But KO Chris, he's named you specifically in some things online. Do you know what he said? Do you care? Do you have any comment? Is there where's that at? Because you were nice to him the last time we talked. You said you thought you and
I
him
was
were.
super nice to him. I'll just keep this short and sweet. I was super nice to him, nicer than I should have been, more patient than I should have been, and I was rewarded by a bunch of garbage. So he is blocked, and he will. Best of luck in your future endeavors, brother. That's it.
All right, back to the positive stuff. Thank you for that, Sin. We talked about it last week. I don't know if you caught it, but there's 3 title fights happening July 10th. Ladies at the top of the bill, which is a change of pace. It's never been seen before for Power Slap. One of which is your own Zoe Dubois, who's obviously found success more recently, and then of course Stunt Marshall coming in at the co-main event against Isaiah Quinones, also fighting for a championship. I mean, these athletes have been involved in this for 14 months. First competing 13 months, a year ago now, but it will be 13 months come. Actually, more like 12 and a half because it was June 27th when they made their debut, but they attended the camp in May of last year. Talk to me about, the vision. Was this what you expected so quickly? How proud are you of the ascension, the way that they've just dominated and really performed to such a high level? And then for Zoe to be 50% of ushering in the first women's championship, but of course for the flyweights, what does all that feel like?
I couldn't be prouder. Are you there? What's going on there?
Yep, we're here.
Why did that? I'm trying I got this phone all plugged in, all fancy, so I don't know, it's just starting to charge. Don't ask me to explain technology. I'm not a fan.
You're good. We still got you.
No, I couldn't be prouder of Zoe. She's been put in this position, and some people are going to root for Ellie, some are going to root for Zoe. I think they're both badass, hardworking ladies, Both have great attitudes. Both are super athletic. Uh, you see that? Or is that popping up for you? It's like you want to leave the studio, kind of a
Nope.
thing.
No, you're good.
So, again, technical difficulties. I apologize for the internet, all of its lasers. Uh, yeah, she's awesome, and I mean, Zoe's as tough as nails, and so is Ellie. So it'll be an interesting one. They're very evenly matched.
It's all right. We can hear you still. All right, I think we might have lost them again.
Yeah, looks like it.
All right, so in your opinion, I mean, the chat's kind of picking up on it. What would you say? I mean, do you think that it's safe to say this is the end of the road for KO Chris?
I do. I mean, it couldn't be any more emphatically clear, to be completely honest with you. Um, from the statement that was made, and because I guess it's the bed that KO Chris is gonna have to lay in. Seemingly, and for a lot of people, obviously, there's certain things you can and certain things you can't say, and I think it's fairly obvious that KO Chris has said some things that were offside that put him over the line, and seemingly looks like we're not going to be seeing KO Chris back in Power Slap anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean that marks the first Power Slap striker to hold a championship that is going to be theoretically released from the promotion. Of course, we don't have confirmation that that has happened, but it sounds like it will happen. What are you looking for?
I was looking for the piece of memorabilia. Man.
Piece. That's too funny. Man, I mean, it is pretty surprising. Wait, where's that piece of memorabilia? Did somebody get in there and steal it, or
No, I still have it, but I can't find
prize
it.
prize possession, man? I mean, come on. It's survived 2 robberies. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know where it is right now.
shame on you, man.
But you know what? I will say this though: people come to the store and they love to interact with it, man. Because we have the Leaf Power Slap cards you see in the back here. We've got them in the store. People come in and we bring the belt out and they take pictures with it. It's actually one of these like really interactive things that people do like. So I gotta locate where that is, but I definitely have it. So don't worry, KO Chris, if you're watching, your belt's in good hands. Don't worry.
Yeah, KO Chris is definitely watching. He's looking for Sin. Yeah, I don't know how you felt about it, but it was interesting to hear Sin's perspective because I'm sure some people think that as well when it comes to the doping violations. And I think it's a slippery slope no matter which way you slice it. Everybody's going to feel a certain way about it. It is what it is. We preface what we put out with it's not our preference. It's not the fun news. It's not what we want to be talking about, but it's our obligation. We've said this a million times, whether you believe it or you don't. We don't work for the promotion. If we did, we wouldn't put stuff like that out. So obviously there's lines that we won't cross. Making insinuations about people's family lives and things like that. That's not our area. That's not for us to do. Of course, something like this that's public, it's litigated in a governing body like the Nevada State Athletic Commission. We will report on, and we've done that. So it is what it is. But I definitely appreciate the pushback because I'll be honest with you, this is called Smack Talk, but nobody ever really pushes back on us. Maybe we go dig Terry out of the grave and have him come on here and try to push back on us.
You're going down there, aren't you?
Yeah, get him out of the dead and see what he's up to after he cleans up that diaper. When I made him shit himself at Power Slap. What was it, 18 or something? Since he's got a lot to say, maybe we do that. So let's see how fast you guys can send that over to the old man who got embarrassed in front of his family.
A little off script, but we didn't talk
Fuck
about
it.
that.
Hey, fuck it. Whatever. It is what it is, dude.
But did
It is
Sin
what
get
it is.
on here and kind of fucked his light you a little bit?
No, I mean at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like this,
Well, Yeah, it's funny. I laugh. It's like, regardless of what happens, we report something, we're gonna get pushback. We don't report it, we get pushback that we didn't report it. I don't think I still didn't get clarity on this whole banned substance thing because I actually don't quite fully understand why that's an issue. It still seemingly is sitting wrong with people of the term banned substance. Obviously, Jordan thought that, and then Sinn Bodhi echoing the term banned substance. I don't know if you guys think of a better word. Let us know because I think it's actually the most proper, correct term that it is. You're not insinuating a drug related activity. You're literally saying like either this substance is banned or it isn't, and that's pretty much it.
Take your opportunity. Take your opportunity. It's right here. Let's
That's
talk about Sheena and Abby, man.
Yeah. I mean, let's get into it. I mean, as great as Ellie and Zoe Dubois is, the Abby Montez and Sheena Bathory just bring a whole another level of masculine women with positive records, with athleticism and power to the stage, and I think this is a very very entertaining and historically relevant match for Power Slap. Obviously, we don't know the longevity of it and how deep the division is at 145 to be able to continue to have top caliber matches. But this is as good as it gets, to be completely honest with you. Sheena has been around since day one. She was a coach. On the show. Obviously, they didn't have women on Road to the Title season one, but just a straight up badass who's always overhit her weight division. Someone who competed in bodybuilding, girl that came over who's done high level judo, wrestling. She's done a number of different things to prepare herself for this opportunity, including MMA. And now we get the opportunity to see it. And Abby Montez has been a bit more of a journey woman, I guess you would say, a bit more of a mixed record in MMA. Lived in the United States, trained in Mexico, but historically, especially with these girls' background, two very relevant athletes that I think can change the course and ultimately become a true superstar in their part of the world. Whoever becomes victorious in this one.
Well, there you go. You got it out, and now the man is back. Is he here? Is this really Sinn Bodhi?
We'll see.
Get it done. Okay. All
We'll
right.
see.
So you were saying
We'll see.
Stunt Marshall, Zoe.
What's that?
Well,
Sorry.
you didn't get to stunt. You were talking about Zoe, how proud you are of her, the spot she's in.
Yeah, and yeah, you want to talk about stunt? I think he's awesome. I laughed we all laughed at the last show when as soon as he took a shot and he yelled at everybody like, "I see, I have a fucking chin," and it just made me laugh.
I didn't notice that, but obviously, do you think it's tough because now this expectation's been built that if he touches you, you just fall, and obviously last one was a little unusual with the flinch. Then he gets him on the second one, which is you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. You're good. Can you still hear me? Oh no, we did it again. All right, you're muted, Core.
I'm just saying, is his phone keep dying on him? It's not enough charge.
Nah, I don't think so. I think it turns sideways, and then that's all she wrote. I think maybe. Well, it is what it is. But either way,
I'll segue to you, Sheena. Get back on track. Sheena and everything. What do you think of that?
I think it's Apex Predator versus Apex Predator for women. 100%. They're the largest women to have a belt. Obviously, 170. There's a lot of questions there. Not really a ton of competitors. They seem to have either trouble / maybe not putting too much effort into building out the 145 division. So I think that they're just this is exciting because this is where female power or female slap in general meets the power that is needed to put people down.
So is this the heavyweight of the women's division? Would you draw that correlation?
Yeah, this is absolutely this is the level by which you will see people fall on their ass consistently. I think at 145 the ladies have a little bit different level of power, and in Sheena's matches we've seen it. Most of her opponents have touched the ground. Obviously, Sheena's touched the ground once herself also. So I think, Abby's done that to people as well. It's a lot more exciting. And I think that's always the elephant in the room when it comes to flyweight is there's not enough knockouts. At 145, that's not a problem. I can tell you that. And history proves that point is correct. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting. It taking place overseas, I think, is interesting as well. Sheena's had success in whatever she's done. Obviously, she was, a reality TV star in her home country of Hungary. Left that for the United States. She came over here and, seemingly, or sorry, before that, judo, reality star. She came over here. She had a stint in wrestling. Um, she got into obviously power slap. She, started her training in MMA. She's gone over there and been, quite successful in that as well. I know she had an injury that derailed, a bit of that, but she seems whatever she touches turns to gold. And, for individuals who, you know, um, achieve success. Especially if you look in the most direct way, I think you could look at, MMA. You look at like Duplessis in South Africa. You look at Ilya Taporia. You look at athletes that win from those parts of the world, and even Amintayov, like winning his match. Even though it was an under, like a lower rank, like the welcome he got when he went back home was crazy. We've even seen, Zakir in his stardom. Like, it means something different to these people when they see them go on an international stage, accumulate success, and especially at the top of the level when as it relates to belt. I mean, even look at Dumpling when he had the belt. Like, he was opening dumpling shops and working with car dealerships and like this guy, or sorry, not, was it strip clubs? Not in car dealerships, strip clubs. Were bringing him in for commercials. Like, it's just different in that part of the world, to say the least.
I gotta say, if you haven't had the opportunity to interact with the dumpling, be it through a translation app or a translator if they're present, you gotta do it. Dumpling is one of the best, most down to earth, funniest, and he. One thing I'll say about him, and hopefully I'm not taking away from his aura here, but Dumpling is one of the most proud fathers I've ever met in my entire life. I mean, I asked him about his son Sasha when we were together in Power Slap for Power Slap 18, and the look on his face, the way it lit up, and he just started showing me pictures of him messing with his son and videos and stuff, and his son's running on the bed and Dumpling's got his big belly out and he's bumping his son and knocking him over, and just the pride that he felt, man. It was actually very cool because sometimes you lose that when you don't have the same language and there's those barriers. Dumplings obviously taught me a ton of curse words over the course of time, and so it's always a great time. So if you haven't had the opportunity to chat with him, even if it's by Instagram, I'd highly recommend it. He's a very, very nice guy, and contrary to how he might look, he has a very kind of stoic and just plain face. He is absolutely hilarious, and he laughs a lot, and he loves to joke and stuff like that. So that's my challenge to each and every one of you if you have never talked to the dumpling.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you for sure. I know you popped up on the screen. You said about Robin and her ability to fight in the United States. I think it's fairly safe to say that she doesn't unfortunately have the correct visa application to be able to compete in on American soil. I can't confirm this, but I've heard early on when this was originally announced that Dumpling was the only one on the roster, and I heard that from a fairly good resource that I could echo that with some sentiment that there's Dumpling and maybe one other athlete on the roster that has the actual visa required to be able to work within the United States, and seemingly the promotion is seemingly holding at bay with that, and I know it's quite a lengthy process for that to be able to happen.
Hey, what's Bao dreaming about? Cause Bao's having a
You can hear?
hell of a nap back there.
You can hear? I didn't realize
Yeah,
that you could actually hear.
so before people start fucking talking shit, and somebody in the comments just got it, who's snoring in the background?
Oh, really?
That's a dog. That is a dog.
I didn't know you could hear. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's a dog. So, yeah, before people start saying Corey's fucking hanging out at a brothel or something.
A brothel. Yeah. Oh, too funny, man.
But man, Dumpling taught me how to say bitch and where my money is. Yep, the Dumpling he's good for that, man. If you need curse words in Russian, he's got you. Let's see what else we got here. Sinn is gracious enough to be in the chat. If you guys have any tough questions for him, feel free. He's there to heal out, as they say in the business. And also, Sinn, if you're watching, congratulations to Edge and Christian. Obviously, older guys doing it for the boys to become champions again. Together, that's really awesome, and that's a win for Canada, Corey. So be grateful. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage have in fact become champions once again. albeit for AEW.
I was,
Sin, you know what, Sin, if you're here, somebody picked this up. I think one of the wrestling outlets picked this up. I didn't notice it because it was on the broadcast. But after Jake won, he does his interview with Charlie Arnold, and he goes in after the interview. He goes up to the camera and he says, "Fuck Tony Khan." Tony Khan, obviously being the CEO of AEW, where Jake spent some time. Obviously, the wrestling community picked that up and ran with it. Interesting time to choose to make that comment. Of course, a lot of implications can be born from that. I saw Sin, if you're in the chat, I was curious your thoughts on if you noticed that, number one, and number two, your thoughts on Jake using the Power Slap platform to get a message to his old boss.
yeah.
Somebody asked, what happened to Soren Kamsa? Oh, interesting. That I didn't realize that was still a secret. Corey?
I'm not sure I actually know to the fullest extent. Do you know specifically, Ding? I don't want to speak out of turn.
Yeah, I mean it was so obviously on the show he got homesick and decided to go home. We know that there was an effort to bring him back. Once the show was over and they were doing live cards again, and he declined. It was an issue of coming to terms on financials. I don't know what those numbers were, but I know that Soren was public and honest about having wanted more than what he was being offered, and so it didn't work out. So yeah, I don't think Soren Kamsa will be seen in Power Slap again.
Yeah, I believe it was on this channel. I think that was last time. At least obviously we heard of him, talking about that and trying to come together. It's actually one of the most gangster interviews I ever did. You can go back on our YouTube channel and do it. And he takes it from the casino in I don't know wherever he is, Eastern Europe. It was quite something. I'll tell you that.
I liked Soren a lot. I thought his personality was great, and sometimes that happens where you got guys like Soren and Slambo, and they just, for whatever reason, life takes them on a different path. And much love and respect to those guys. No harm, no foul. But it's unfortunate we don't get to see them. But of course, everybody's got to do what's best for them. Is that other athlete Dakota McGregor? Tristan, regarding what? I'm sorry, I lost that.
Probably the visa thing.
There's a lot of. I mean, the visa is anybody who's not American, really. Besides, do you mean the dumpling plus one person?
Correct. Yeah.
I think it was. Man, I'm drawing a blank. I don't remember who it is now.
So am I, man.
I don't remember who it is.
Putting us on the spot.
We'll try. We'll try to remember who that is. I don't remember who it is. Let me see here. Somebody said Slambo was definitely different. Slambo mentioned everyone drink. Oh Lord. Same with Bear Bennett. Give me Munch. He can slap first. Munch is Munch has made quite the splash, man, and he's got a look to him. I like him. Personality wise, I didn't get to meet him personally, but definitely an exciting prospect at super heavyweight.
You know what actually been a good one was we can get a chance to talk to Sin about Impreet Singh and his future, and if we'll see him back. Obviously, he was on the wrong side, of his original match with Lance, and seeing if he's going to get a second opportunity to get back in the league.
I don't know what I should say here. I wonder if he's getting a second opportunity too. I miss Reese Archer, the way he flinched, or Slappy Joe. Wow, Cody Belial, you guys are really throwing it back here, huh? Paid actors. You guys are paid actors.
But have we talked about it? Because I think it was underutilized, and I don't know. Ding, I know you were watching the broadcast. I'm not sure how much it got picked up or not, but did you see the rollout effort from Andrew Provost and the step out that he was doing? Because it reminded me.
Like you're talking about when he was striking?
When he was receiving a strike from Blackburn, his first two strikes, like the ones that he was able to stand on his feet, he purposely stepped out. It reminded me of Waylon Frost, kind of back in the day. And when he got hit on the left side of his face, he purposely would step out with his right foot. And so it made the damage look greater, but it allowed him to stay up on his feet. I noticed it in person.
Interesting. So the movement. So you take the bigger movement post strike in an effort to minimize falling down and getting the 10-8.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So he
I
was
didn't
getting
notice
hit,
that, but that's
and then
interesting.
he was purposely stepping out. And then I asked him about it in the post-fight interview, and he confirmed that that was a technique that he picked up in Las Vegas that week and implemented it into the actual fight itself. Um, you know, they didn't call it, so obviously it's within the rule set. I wonder if it's something that others are going to study and look at, you know, as a way to continue. Because obviously, if you can't stay on your feet and you can't continue, you don't have an opportunity to return a strike and be able to win. You know, but from a judge's standpoint, it's obviously going to reflect poorly on you and how you're absorbing those strikes if you are being seen of, you know, getting hit, quote unquote, out of the box per se.
But Provost, poor Provost, man. I'm always picking on him. Provost has to do something special in his next match,
Dude,
because no, well, hold on, before you go crazy. He did do something special in this match, but the overwhelming majority of people, if you go look at the YouTube comments on the broadcast, if you go look at the comments on our posts, everybody, I didn't even know there was this many fans that were that keened into the what's going on. Everybody says the fight should have been stopped when Blackburn knocked him out. And I cannot say I disagree. I'm happy for him that it continued. It continued. He does what he does. At the end of the day, you can't refute that. But if they would have stopped that fight, I wouldn't have been like, wow, that was a bad stop. No, no chance.
dude,
So
I think Provost is the most hated fighter in Power Slap.
probably he's close. He's close with KO Chris being out of the mix. I think he's up there. But why don't we
Yeah.
ask Sin? That's a good
Well,
question to ask Sin
yeah. Which question specifically?
about Provost. What does he think? There he is. Whoa, you look a little shinier. What'd you do? Did you get a new camera?
different device.
Ah, there we go. You like how I picked that up, right? Attention to detail.
But I mean, do I look pretty? You pick it up a good side? Oh
If
shit,
you
there is
didn't,
no good side.
if you didn't heal out on me
Thanks for
earlier,
that.
I might say yes, but my feelings are a little hurt, so I'm gonna say no.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
What did you think? So
I'll
we were
earn
just
your love back.
no, it's always love, Sid. I'm always teasing. We were talking about Provost and Blackburn, and I think Provost still gets a lot of hate for what happened that night, even though it's, not his fault. The overwhelming majority of the comments are, you know, the fight should have been stopped. What was your assessment ringside?
So I'm not a judge. I'm not an officiator. I'm not scoring the competitions. I'm not one of the sanction. So just me as a fan, I think it should have been stopped. As a fan, that's what I think. But who am I to, go against the powers that be? So it's
Yeah, I
my
mean,
job to be on their team. That's what I shall do.
yeah,
So
no,
it's protect the talent. And that's what I shall do.
no, it's a great point, and I think what I was saying was, Provo still did what he did. Yeah, he couldn't
Sure.
form a sentence in his post fight, but he still, takes out one of the a former champion, a guy who's been incredibly durable, and for that, I think he deserves, a lot of respect. But I've just seen, and if you can, people can verify this, YouTube comments on Instagram. 90% of people believe that that fight should have been stopped. I was actually very surprised to see that that is what the broadcast comments on YouTube are made of. It's people saying Blackburn got robbed, Jason Herzog had money on the fight, blah, 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 which was very interesting.
I agree, but at the same time, Provost was throwing haymakers left and right, and like Babyface just, he just withstood so much. Like, Provost has a really good hand on him, but I think they should have stopped the fight.
Corey was asking when you were getting back in there, he was asking about Amanpreet Singh, aka Mahabali Shera. Obviously doesn't end as his night at Power Slap 19. Can we expect to see the Indian Lion back in Power Slap? Was his question.
Yep, you sure can.
Would that happen to
Sure.
be would that happen to be something we can expect in the month of July by chance?
100% maybe.
And then let me ask you then, what did he show? Like, what did he show to you up there on stage?
He's got a mean hand, and I think he put Lance Anawahi on his ass right out of the gate. And to Lance's credit, Lance got up. Lance comes from a real tough family. He's got strong lineage. He's got a lot of heart. And so does Shira. So Lance got up, said, "What the heck just hit me?" I think he kind of paintbrushed Shira in his first shot back because he was still kind of clearing the cobwebs. And I think what Shira was thinking was, "Hey, I just put this kid who's younger than me on his ass. Maybe I'm going to hold back a bit." What I was thinking he was thinking. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But even Lance will kind of joke and say, "I think the second shot from Shira was harder than the first shot. I just maybe didn't know what to expect on the first shot. And then in the second one, I was just like, holy shit, I'm up in it now, and I'm not going to disappoint my family. So I'm just going to eat this shit." And that's what he did. And but I think in Shira's mind's eye, maybe he wasn't pulling it, but I think in his mind's eye, he was pulling it a little bit, thinking, I got the kid where I want him. I don't think he's going to make a dent on me. And then, sure enough, Lance threw a haymaker in the second round, and that was that.
Yeah, no,
Again, I think they're both awesome. Again, like, who am I? I'm not a sanctioned referee. I'm not a sanctioned sanction. So as looking at it as a fighter, and looking at it as talent, and looking at it as tolerations, and looking at it as more than anything as a fan, I don't know that I would have called it on Shira. I would have let them both go to round 3. Lance got walloped and got up, and then Shira got walloped and they called it. So again, to be respectful, the ref must have saw something I didn't see. But just in my humble opinion, the ref is right there, as close as you can get. Best seat in the house. I'm sitting down the ringside, so the ref is closer than I am. And, just in my fan opinion, in my love of the game opinion, I would have let it fly in round 3. Who knows what happened? It could have gone either way. I think it was a really close deal, and luck favored Lance that night. But they'll both be back. Lance and Shearer will be back very soon.
Yeah, I think in sports in general, I think there's a lot of conversation, about the involvement of the refs and getting involved in the outcome of matches. And Power Slap, obviously, it's a little bit more, prominent, I think, than others. And I think for the most part, if you can let athletes compete safely and be able to determine their own fate and their own judgment, I think everybody could agree that that's the best outcome, overall. But
I agree.
with that and kind of transitioning, Jake Hager, a guy that you had, I guess the biggest, or if not the biggest, one of the biggest resumes coming into Power Slap. We see him, with a successful debut. What's kind of next for him and his trajectory? Are we going to see him back relatively soon? Do you think he's deserving of somebody in, the top 10, the top 5? Any insight of where you think he's at? Because I know you know him quite well on a personal level as well.
Yep, to all of the above.
All right, even top 5.
I think he'll be back soon, and he's not in it to tread water. He's in it for a championship. So he'll do what he's got to do to get himself into a title match. Now, having said that, his accolades, of course, on paper are probably arguably the most impressive accolades. The most sort of like highbrow accolades to come through Power Slap. That's not to say he's the toughest guy in Power Slap. The tougher, Power Slap is chock full of tough mamma jammas, no doubt. But Jake, like everybody else, he's going to climb that ladder and or try to, and he's going to try to get that championship belt, just like everybody else. So he'll have to go through however many opponents he's got to go to until he finds himself competing for that title. It's that strap, as we would say.
Sin, for the record, I don't know if you noticed this, but you have cultivated the oldest power slap competitor in Jake
Yeah,
Hager.
again, I
Are you
remember
aware
you
of that?
saying that. I heard you call him the Joe Biden of
Whoa, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's not true.
yeah, you did.
I
Yeah.
didn't say that. I told him to his face that he was the oldest competitor to win, and he said he owned it. He said
And
it
he
was a
laughed it off.
compliment.
Yeah, he did. I was right behind you on the camera going,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
yeah. That's right up there with your TMZ posts about
Oh,
anti-doping stuff. Um, so I'll say this: he owned it because he should. You know, Jake Hager in his early 40s is better than a lot of dudes at 25. You know, or 35 or whatever. Like, I mean, you know, I'm not Chuck Norris by any means, but I wouldn't want to cross him. You know, um, but again, you know, with age comes knowledge, and you don't live to a certain age. You don't live to the ripe old age of Jake Hager without being a survivor and battle tested. You know, so like you know he's by you know no means over the hill. He's in his prime. You know, like you know he might not be 25, but again, I don't know how many different ways I can say it, but like Jake Hager in his early 40s is better than a lot of them at 25. So there you go.
yeah. I think he showed it. Can you give us any insight or idea of what we can expect to see in Serbia? Meaning
I just
talent.
before we do, just on that side note, and I have this argument sometimes with some of the other office is saying like some of the guys or girls that I'll bring will be maybe like late 30s or something. And they'll say, "Well, is that are we pushing it?" And my argument is like respectfully, and again, I love power slap, so anything I say is what I'm thinking strategy wise and or pragmatically. It's like if you rewind 20, 25 years ago, everybody would tell you UFC is a human cockfight. Nowadays, it's a household name, it's corporate, it's a moneymaker, it's amazing. It's going to be on the freaking White House lawn for heck's sakes, you know? So it is a UFC is the biggest of deals. But back in the day, it was like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's crazy. You know, and I think Power Slap in its infancy is still, you know, getting some of that. So I don't know that Power Slap has been around long enough for aspiring, you know, 21 to 25-year-old athletes like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a Power Slap guy. You know, they weren't thinking that yet. So I think what you're going to get at this stage of the game is some athletes that are froggy enough and brave enough to test the waters in something relatively new. But at the same time, what you're going to get is a lot of, to use a wrestling term, the grizzled vets that have been through the ringer, that have been battle tested, whether they be in pro wrestling, sumo wrestling, MMA, boxing, uh, bodyguards, you know, whatever. But they've been through it, you know, and so they're not afraid to get down and rumble, you know, and so again, maybe a 25-year-old Jake Hager, he was set on being a collegiate champ. Then he was, a professional wrestling champ. Then he was, a successful competitor in Bellator. And maybe he would have went into UFC. I don't know. He was younger, but at this stage of the game, he's like, okay, I'm battle tested in technically three different sports. I can take a hit. I can give a hit. What opportunities in life are there for me? He obviously not thrilled about working for Tony. So for whatever reason that is, I don't know. I don't know why, but obviously his First Amendment inclination was to showcase his disdain for Tony. Uh, but what are any given person's options at any given time, and why would you blame anybody for trying to take the best option you could? Like what can I do as a pro wrestler? And I'm not old, but I'm not young either. I can produce, I can promote, I can coach, I can do stunts in movies, I can player coach. There's an old wrestling term called being a carpenter. Like using what I've got in my head. And again, I'm no slouch, but at the same time, but I'm not 25. But what I have neck up is I've got all this knowledge and wherewithal to dispense to a young wrestler that I can show them. And that's kind of how I scout a lot of guys for Power Slap that I don't already know. Like I fly out just about every weekend somewhere to pro wrestle. I wrestle the local good guy, the local bad guy. All right, kid, more of this, less of this, tighten this up, loosen this up. I do a seminar. I watch all the talent. I watch all the matches. Guys and girls want to ask me questions. I'll be right at the curtain or at the monitor watching, So, like, what can I do at this stage of the game, not being 25? Like, if Triple H called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, you want to get in there and beat the shit out of Roman Reigns?" I'd say, "Sure." What's the payday? Like, do that. But they want to hire young. And again, I kid you not, once I got that sit down with Frank and Dana and Hunter, I was hooked. I loved it. I was a fan of it going into it, and now that I'm in, like, on this side of the fence on it, man, I am hooked, hook, line, and sinker. Like, I love it because it checks so many of my personal I don't know, hot buttons, whatever you want to call it. I get to give opportunities to people that I think are deserving. So that's number one. To feed my family, number two. And I use my skill set, like this weird, bizarre skill set. Like, I'm a fucking pro wrestler. I was a karate tournament fighter. I was a circus strongman. Like, what does that allow me? And I was a promoter. So what does that allow me to do? I can promote shows. I can coach. I can do stunts in movies. I can scout talent. I can do that for days. A lot of the guys and girls that are on WWE TV, I got my fingerprints on in some way, shape, or form. Help train them, help break them in, had their first matches. I was their carpenter, some of them, some super high-end names. So that translates to Power Slap because this is not pro wrestling, but this is so adjacent. MMA, BJJ, Zuffa boxing, all of it. It's all so cousin to one another. So when you get an older competitor, you're sacrificing youth for wisdom and youth for battle testing. Like, I know Jake Hager has a chin. I know he's got a back. I know he's got a heart. I've hit that motherfucker with steel chairs before. Hard. He's hit me before. Really, really hard. And he's a nice dude. Did I mention how hard he fucking hits? Like, he wanted to lose that coin toss. And he wanted to show everybody in his early 40s that he can hang with anybody on the planet of whatever age. So there you have it.
Yeah, I actually think the world of Jake, especially given what he's done and just stepping up there and putting it all on the line and risking his reputation. I think that part of it probably goes underestimated and undervalued. He's truly risking it all, risking everything he's built to go up there and get hit in the face as hard as humanly possible,
And
and
so
take a
Mark
chance.
Henry told this great story about when he was first working for Vince McMahon. So for those who don't know, Mark Henry, is the world's strongest man, pretty strong. So moral of the story, he's pretty strong. And so he wanted to go back and compete again for whatever reason. And Vince McMahon told him, "Hey, man, you can go compete, but I only have room on the roster for the world's strongest man. I do not have room on my roster for the world's second strongest man." So if you read between the lines, what I'm spelling out for you is he's like, you want to go take that chance, be my guest, but you better do good or you're going to fuck the rest of it up, So, and I have these conversations with a lot of pro wrestlers or MMA competitors or boxers, and they'll say, well, hey, my end goal is WWE, or my end goal is UFC, or my end goal is Zuffa boxing. And so I'm not in the zone to do Power Slap. And I would just explain to them, like, it's a really awesome opportunity, directly or indirectly, to get yourself, huge viewership, huge payday, and get right in front of Dana White, so wherever you want to land, Zuffa boxing, UFC, WWE, whatever. And I try to explain to them, like, that might not be in the perfect world some direct, straight as an arrow path, but like, life is a roller coaster. Like, you want to get this accolade or that accolade, and you want to go up and down these battles and things like. So if you're a pro wrestler, boxer, MMA, whatever, you want to be in any of those things at the highest level, why not compete 5 feet in front of Dana White? Pretty good idea to me. And then to counterpoint that, Dana Frankenhunter, really nice dudes, really fair dudes, despite well, whatever people want to gossip and bullshit. I'm telling you right now, they're really great dudes. They treat me great. They're nice dudes. They don't always tell me yes. Like sometimes we disagree, but they do it like men. They're respectful and they're awesome and they're red blooded, and I'll take that all day long. But if somebody, an aspiring wrestler, MMA, boxer, whatever, wants to do one of those things, but power slap is your opportunity. And I can tell you, opportunities, especially good ones, do not grow on fucking trees. So when you're presented with some life-altering opportunity to be in front of the dude that could define your destiny, albeit in another direction, maybe it's a good idea to take the fucking opportunity. Just saying, nobody's holding a gun to your head, but if you're a red-blooded competitor, maybe go try that. And if it goes the other way, well, it's the same guy in charge of all of it, or most of it. So, like, what's to say, and he has not ever said this, so try to wiggle my words around it, get me a lot of telling you straight, but like, what if he goes, well, what if that person is too much of a pussy to do power slap? Why should I bother giving them a chance anywhere else? So like, not only are you getting an opportunity to make a great payday, get some big eyeballs on you, get viewership, expand your brand, do this, do that, and one step closer to whatever your other goal is. Do great here. God forbid, do really great here. God forbid, get a title, championship belt under your, on your resume.
Yeah.
And then maybe, this person might be good at UFC, might be good at Zuffa boxing, might be good at WWE, might be good at whatever. As opposed to, if they're too scared to do that, maybe I don't want to, like when I have wrestlers ask me, hey, could you put in a good word? I say, I'll put in the truth. So if I'm talking to one of the coaches or the talent relations at the WWPC, I can only tell the truth, or else my credibility is out the window. If I say, okay, Michael, Michael wants to be a wrestler, and I say, well, Michael, yeah, he's 7 feet tall. He can do 3 flips before he ever even hits the ground, and he's got a great attitude. And then you show up, and you're 6 foot, and you can't do any flips, and you don't have great attitude. You got this boo-boo face on you all the time. And Triple H or any of those other guys are gonna be like, that's not what you said he was. Get the fuck out of here. And then I'm no good to anybody else. Then why would they trust me to assess any other talent? So if you're a great talent, that's what I'm going to say. If you're a pussy, that's what I'm going to say. If you are hard to deal with, that's what I'm going to say. If you're easy to deal with, that's what I'm going to say, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you are a liability, that's what I'm going to say. And that's why our pal Chris isn't fucking here. There you go. Every chance, every fucking chance, olive branch after olive branch, and the guy just couldn't help himself. He just had to put his foot in his mouth, do all sorts of ridiculous shit to the point of now he's flagged on security. Now the one guy that was trying to help him out, like if anybody listening, or if he was to zoom out and go, okay, the one guy that is giving him the time of day, the one guy that is trying to help him. And what does he do? He goes online and spews some bullshit that, if it was true, could get me in fucking hot water. That fucks up feeding my family, paying my mortgage, feeding my critters, feeding my wife, my daughter. Fuck you, bro. You just made an enemy. So get the fuck out of here. Blocked. Fucking enjoy the rest of your life. So do not, anybody, power slap, or anybody on planet Earth, do not fucking mistake kindness for weakness. I want to see everybody do good. If I had a magic fucking wand, both people would win. But I don't have access to that technology. And it breaks my heart that somebody has to lose that, a fight in power slap. And that's it. And everybody I bring on say, this is a shoot. Somebody's winning, somebody's losing. This is big boy, big girl time for big boy, big girl money. handle your business or don't, you know. And again, one of the biggest allures for me, and I'd like to think the talent that I bring to the table is like, you don't have to ask permission to win, unlike in pro wrestling. You know, this is you do you. You know, Jake Hager's going to win. It's not because he's Jake Hager's going to win. He's going to win because he is the better competitor that day. And that goes for everybody right across the board, guy or girl. And, you know, Chris I think earlier had a good hand and a good chin. And I think whatever, you know, fighters go through all sorts of stuff. They doubt themselves. They backfire on themselves. They self-destruct or whatever, for whatever reason. I don't think he's the same cat. And that's what my fighterly instincts say. That's what my promoter instincts say. That's what my producer instincts say. That's what my executive instincts say. And like, what if any talent just could fly off the handle any fucking minute? That's a liability. Why would anybody indulge that? Certainly somebody that's like, you know, bow up, stand up. Dana White would be the first one to say whatever you want. So it's got nothing to do with you can't say the right thing or the wrong thing. You can say whatever the fuck you want. So it's just an excuse to hear people say, well, you know, I was a hero and I stepped out and I spoke up for myself. Speak up for yourself all fucking day. It's got nothing to do with anything. If you are a liability, see ya. You know, like, are we worried about you losing it on a fan and causing a lawsuit? Are you going to do a multitude of things that I don't really want to give anybody any ideas? Like, fuck's sake.
Sinn,
You know.
yeah, I gotta tell you. Okay, so you can barely work an iPhone, so you certainly know you don't have a magic wand. But also, this was before your time. And I was the knucklehead that
It's a long time ago. What was before my time?
Before the power slap time. But
Yeah.
I had this brilliant idea, okay, and it swirled into this crazy number. But there was this rumor going around that I put a bounty out there that if anybody got a knockout and jumped on the podium and did the arrow through their opponents, that I would pay them a ransom in doing so. And that turned into about 100x of what, you know, was even talked about in the beginning. And so I'm sure you would come on and give me shit if that happened in any one way or fashion. Because they protect that podium like it's like the championship podium.
Sure.
Per se.
Well, again, that thing's worth $1 bajillion. It's mechanical. It's a bitch to fix. It would wreck the whole show if somebody screwed up the table because it would just take forever to fix that thing. And then same thing too. Like the referees, when they go over all the rules, to tell you don't jump off the stage. You know, whatever. They don't want you hurting yourself. They don't want you hurting anybody else. You know, like this modern day world is so litigious. Chris, look up that word.
You know who jumped off the stage? It's crazy that you say that. KO Chris jumped off the stage when he beat Debo and he went up to Anthony Blackburn in the crowd. It's so crazy. Just like, you know.
Right. You can't, you know, that's just a liability waiting to happen. What if he snapped himself in half and then he sues? What if he crashes on somebody and that somebody sues? You know, there are 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
It could go wrong with somebody that just a loose cannon. Like, again, you want to like your opponent? Great. You want to hate your opponent? Great. You want to talk smack to each other? Be my guest. You want to hug it out and sing Kumbaya? Be my fucking guest. But be a responsible competitor.
Yeah.
Go to the airports. Don't make us worry about you. Sign your documents, answer your emails. Be a reliable person to work with. Don't be a headache. You can run your yap all day long. Just be responsible as a human and be a reliable performer, worker, whatever you want to call it, employee, whatever. Handle your business.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, though, Sinn. So for athletes in combat sports that their only experience has been power slap, what do you say to them when they want to venture out into other MMA, boxing, etc.? What do you say to them?
You get what you put in, you know, like you're serious about something, then do it seriously. Don't just half-ass it. Don't believe your own hype and just think, well, I'm this or I'm that or whatever. Like, I've got a ton of boxers, wrestlers, MMA guys that are scared shitless to do power slap. Some power slap guys might feel the same way about doing any of the three things I just mentioned. I don't, who knows?
So,
I haven't heard a lot of guys saying they wanted to venture out from power slap to do something else, that were just straight out power slap and nothing else.
yeah.
Like if you're,
Well, let me tell you this. Damien DeBell, and I've heard this from multiple, and even himself, he thinks he wants to get into boxing, and I think it's a terrible idea. What would you say to Damien DeBell if he wants to take a pro wrestling match right now as the champion of power?
I think if Damien DeBell wanted to be a pro wrestler or a boxer or an MMA fighter, I'd say go for it. Do it. I would say while you're doing this, maybe focus on this as you like. He's at the top of the game. Like he's arguably one of the absolute best to do this. And currently it's not like he was once. He is now one of the absolute best. So I mean,
so he goes out, does a regional boxing event. He goes out, does a regional boxing event, and things don't go his way. What does that portray?
Well, again, that's like Mark
organization?
Henry. Again, there's no place for the world's second strongest man. So people are taking a gamble. So you want to bet on yourself. If you feel confident enough and you're doing the work, and you're like, if he wants to be a boxer, then he should train his ass off being a boxer. If he wants to be a pro wrestler, train your ass off being a pro wrestler, or a BJJ, or MMA, or whatever it is, or a fireman, or a bull rider, or a skateboard guy, or whatever the fuck you want to do. Just don't half-ass it. Don't just think, well, I'm great at slapping people, or I'm great at doing whatever. I'm gonna, how many crossover athletes have we ever seen? Like how many have gone from basketball to baseball or something? Like Michael Jordan and like half a handful of people. So if you want to do it, Jake Hager is one of the very few ever do that. Collegiate wrestling, mixed martial arts, pro wrestling, and now power slap. So he's done it. So who's to say why DeBell couldn't do it? Or whoever put their mind to it. You got to have that dog in the fight. You can't get in there and half-ass it, because you'll get got real quick. Bullshit will be prevalent. Like money talks and bullshit walks, right? So like, who wants to do it? Go do it. The other pro wrestlers, they wrestle and do power slap. So I don't see if it doesn't conflict with, certainly, like I'm sure Hunter and Frank and Dana would appreciate you doing your bare knuckle fighting or your boxing or your pro wrestling or whatever event after the power slap event. Because if they're going to invest such big money into you, and they're doing medically clearing you, which is not cheap, they're advertising you, they're flying you in, they're paying you, they're putting you up, getting visas, doing all these different things for you. Probably don't screw that up for some smaller reward somewhere. But if you want to do it after the fact, knock yourself out. I'm all for following dreams. So tell somebody to not follow.
Sin, I want to close on a positive note. So nothing about KO Chris. All right, we're done with KO Chris.
It's all good.
The Serbia card without without asking any details about matches. What's the framework? What can we expect? Obviously, it's the first international card of the year. The rest of the year, is kind of up in the air for the overseas cards, given what's going on in the world. I had said when you were coming back on, that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, some crazy number like 10, pre-recorded fights, because of the all the international talent is going to be cycled through here.
Well, I will say this: I don't think there's going to be 10 prelim fights, just because we're sharing the same venue with UFC and we're doing all the stuff all collective. So time is an issue. So everything that has to sort of be juggled accordingly. So I mean, it'll be an awesome show, but it certainly won't be 10 prelims.
And what, from your purview, what would you say is kind of the mixture of athletes that we've already seen versus athletes that are going to be making their debut?
A lot of international guys. We've got some Serbian competitors, which we're really excited to have. Some very, very badass competitors, both guy and girls. So that'll be really cool. And I mean, and I always joke, I crack this joke because like my heritage is Serbian. So like I can crack the jokes or whatever. But I was kind of joking with Frank. I'm like, pick a hell of a place to pick fighters from and to put a power slap show. Like, because Serbians are only good at two things: pastries and killing. that's a go do some history, and you'll just see like, boy, oh boy, they're violent, they're mean, they know how to fight, and so whoever whatever Serbian competitors we have on, and we have some really really cool ones, it's going to be awesome. Boy, oh boy, did I mention they make awesome pastries?
You did. I'd ask you though, because I know in previous, number cards, they erect the octagon often on the Wednesday before a Saturday fight. Will it be on the traditional power slap stage, or are you going to utilize the ring in some capacity before they put the actual cage up around it?
I don't know the technical layout of how they're doing it, but I know it's back to back. Like we're Thursday and they are Friday. So how the mechanical setup for the staging, I'm not sure.
Interesting. I mean, I know they always do a great TV production. Power Slap's one of the most well-produced live sporting events in the world, and
yeah, they spare no expense to give you quality visuals. I mean, it's a top-notch setup, no doubt.
100%. Well, Sinn, let's wrap it up there. We're going on 2 hours. I appreciate you. We know you got lots to do there at the Funny Farm, and pets to walk and people to feed and all that stuff. So we appreciate you graciously coming on here, being candid with us. And we'll see you very soon in Las Vegas, either at the training camp that's going to come up or at the actual event July 10th as well.
And I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway in closing. Like everything that I do or say, I like to crack my jokes, but I truly, truly care about the fighters, and I love the show. So to me, that's an easy combo platter. Like bring as much opportunity to as many hardworking guys and girls that I think will do right by the show and will make the show awesome. And that's my job, to help make the show awesome. So every decision is difficult. When some stuff doesn't work out for certain talent, that sucks. But there's winners and losers, and there's only so many spots on these shows. There's only so many shows. So like everything I'm doing, I'm not saying I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to try, but I'll make my mistakes just like anybody else. But everything I do is with the best of intentions for this show.
Awesome, Sinn. Well, I appreciate you as always. Look forward to it. Much love, much respect, buddy.
Sinn, Sinn, I gotta quality check this real quick. So, everything out on the table, we're all set, we're good, or am I getting drop kicked next time I see you? Oh man, 100% maybe. All right.
100% maybe, bro. Now you're.
But the steel chair to the back thing, that's what you got to watch out for.
If you see me carrying some thumbtacks or some light tubes or a steel chair or something, maybe put those sneakers to use, but otherwise, no, I think we'll be all right. I like you guys.
All right, Sinn. Thanks, 100%. Yeah, I appreciate the time and the candor, and be prepared just as we are for the the KO Chris videos.
To you guys, I think you said it earlier. Corey said it. If you report this, people are going to get mad. You don't report this, people are going to get mad. So, as is life, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're not going to make all the people happy all the time. That goes for fans, for competitors, for executives. It's a giant ecosystem, and within that ecosystem, we're trying to do the best things we think do for the show.
I appreciate that perspective. You're incredibly fair. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, to pick the great mind of Sinn Bodhi. And like I said, I think let the KO Chris saga continue.
Or not. I wish him well. I don't. Not gonna go on there and give you any quote that he's gonna chop up in some video and then manipulate it or whatever. Like, not giving him anything except, man, I hope you do great. I hope you have a great life. I hope you're healthy. I hope your family's healthy. Your future and go.
It sounds like Sinn wants a better sign off. So I'll give him this farewell here. So to the most beautifully, eloquently youngest man on the brass of Power Slap, who has recruited the millions of views across the world and bringing it to you live on your television. You've got Mr. One Sinn Bodhi on the on Slap News, bringing it to you. And I'm out here. I'm losing my mind, Sin.
Thank you, boys. Be safe, be smart, be kind.
Awesome. Take care, man. See ya. All right, Ding. In the show that never ends, it's a Sinn Bodhi show.
No, I always appreciate because Sin is in a
Yeah.
really unique position because he's, obviously he's part of the team there, but he's also, a big free speech guy and he's very candid and he tries to say what he can and sometimes he, loosens the reins up and sometimes he 100% maybes us, but it's absolutely appreciated and, a good personality to him, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
no,
he
I mean,
gave us
great.
some shit. I'm sure people will be talking about that. Sinn
you-
Bodhi
you know-
pressed us on our own show. First time ever. I like
Yeah,
it.
you know what's funny? I'll say, you know what, the show started off a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to go. We were kind of like having some fun candor back and forth. Always some of the topics with Hollywood, Haley J kind of got a little bit awkward and things didn't quite go where I thought it would go. And, it was, like you said, the first time that we got in, to a little bit more depth and the truth came out in front of all you all that stayed and watched the entire episode. I think there's a lot of value to be had there. I think if you're a striker, there's a lot to extract from it. To be completely honest with you, of kind of the inner workings and kind of pulling that curtain back. And if you're a fan of the sport, I think it's great to see the realism of like what it takes for a striker to get into power slap. What do you do when you're here? What do you do in your exit? I mean, there's a lot to kind of dive in here. And I think we definitely pulled back some of those layers and gave you an inside look into, the inner workings of what's going on in the Power Slap office per se.
Yeah, man. And with that, we'll wrap. Tune in next week to the next episode where we bring Terry on here and we hash out all of our fucking
You're doubling
issues
down.
with Terry.
Are you serious about this?
And I make him shit himself digitally once again. And, we'll all heal out. Fuck it.
So you're doubling down on this, are you?
Man, fuck Terry. That's what I'm doubling down on. How about that? Let's wrap though, and we'll be back next week. Not with that fucking weirdo, but we'll have some great guests for you guys as we get close to. Dude, it doesn't feel like Power Slap 21's 4 weeks away. I guess 5 weeks technically because it's 10th. 11 days from the White House card. 37 days from Power Slap 21. I like it, man. Till next time, 6 p.m. on the Pacific, 9 p.m. on the East, Tuesday, 11 a.m. on the Pacific, on the West Coast, 2 p.m. on the East Coast, Clubhouse, IG Live, Corey. Maybe I'll jump in there in the comments and cause some havoc. Be there or be square, but we'll see you guys, if not, on this very show. Smack Talk Live next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. on the West, 9 p.m. on the East. Have a fantastic evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for the support, and we will see you next time.